Hey guys, and welcome to the Candidly Crew podcast. I'm your host, Chesley White.
And I'm Mareena Register.
How's it going today?
It's going well. It's Monday.
Yeah?
We normally record on Mondays, right?
Yeah, we always record on Mondays.
For some reason, that seems really wild to me, and it feels like I'm just jumping into the week by chatting, which is fun.
I guess all this travel has gotten you a little thrown off here.
Yeah, so
Where have you been recently?
Let's see, Nashville and Atlanta last week. Before that, Hawaii. That was not for work.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Right, it was great. But yeah, I've been to Florida, so like Miami, Tampa, Austin, Texas was a very cool town, and I had never been before.
Yeah,
so it's been fun. We travel around to different cities to go to visit different offices and meet partners. And I had someone in the company a couple years ago tell me about something else. She was like, Mareena, you will never get to go on just like a road show to all the offices to chat with people. Because that's what I was pitching. And then look at me now, like 3 years later, I'm literally going on a road show to all the offices to chat with people. So dreams can come true.
Yes. Did you have some good food in all those places?
Oh yeah, we definitely try and get really good food. My boss is a foodie.
Oh, perfect.
Which is super great.
Yeah.
So whenever we go, we try and find very cool restaurants. Our other thing now is to find hotels that have really good restaurants either inside of them or right beside them so that we don't have to really go anywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because we're starting to get a little...
But yeah, for a second I was like, why would you want to do that? I'm like, oh, because you're going to be staying there anyway.
Yeah, so since we can just go back to the hotel, we don't have to worry. But we went to this spot in Charlotte called the Fig Tree. It was amazing food. And it was in an old house. Like it's in a bungalow.
Interesting.
And it's fancy. The menu changes all the time. The waitress there gave us the best like wine and food pairing recommendations. She was amazing.
So I also went to Charlotte, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Okay. Well, on the way back through, and ate at a place called Hawker's. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It was like an Asian fusion kind of like street food place.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
How do you spell it?
Hawker's, Hawkers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My good friend Meg recommended it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds amazing. So next time I'm in Charlotte, which I
noted.
I technically go back to Charlotte quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, we are excited to get into our show today. We have an excellent guest. Rachel Johnson, president of Forge Construction, is here to talk with us. And it was just an amazing show. What'd you think?
I really love Rachel. I've really enjoyed whenever I get to talk with her, but it was really fun to hear about her story. Did not realize she started in DC. Did not realize she went from just she said she fell into construction by accident, started as an executive assistant and worked her way all the way up to now being president of this company.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like you don't hear that happening that often.
Right. So she is someone who has a lot of drive and a lot of also really good stability in areas. I felt like she is very solid and has good grounding principles.
Like she's very intentional. She's thought a lot about what she's doing and what she's trying to grow and acts, in that way.
And again, not to give away the whole show, but my favorite takeaway is really her biggest takeaway is courage over comfort. And she talked about that several times.
Yeah, you guys have to listen to that segment of the show. That was huge. I mean, if you could just take that one step towards doing something uncomfortable, like it's amazing where you could end up and it's a lot of things that you would have never even guessed that you could get there kind of thing. Yeah. Like or the opportunities would present themselves.
I mean, it's a great advice for you and I today as we're thinking through things, but also for someone just starting out in the industry. So I really appreciated that.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you guys enjoy it as much as we did, and let's bring her in. All right, Rachel. Well, we are so excited to chat with you today. I'm glad we finally got it booked. We had a few reschedules. Yep. But so let's start off from the beginning. Tell us your story. How did you get involved in commercial real estate?
Really by accident. I thought I was going to go to law school. In college, I was in the business school with a concentration in law and finance. And after college, I went and worked for Wilmer Hale, a big firm in Boston for 2 years. And I was like, what am I doing? I don't like billable hours. This is not the lifestyle I want. So I moved back home to the DC area and found a job in commercial real estate as an executive assistant and worked my way up in the company. I just really loved everything about construction. Growing up, I did Habitat for Humanity. I just loved seeing the transformation piece of it. And like I said, I just worked my way up and really enjoyed it. And here I am today.
Wow. So what did that look like? Like, how long did it take you, and what were the kind of transition points moving up?
Yeah, I started in 2007 as an executive assistant for a general contractor, and moved into an APM role, and then a PM role, and then VP of operations. That was in the DC market. I also lived in Tampa for a year, managing that branch office. And then I moved back to DC for a couple of years, moved to Greenville in 2012, and then did residential construction for 3 years, decided I wanted to get back into commercial construction. And then that was 2017, and here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when I think about it, like the transition from EA to assistant project manager. So was that something that you asked for, or was that something that because of who you were and how you were working, they brought to you?
Yes, that was something that was offered to me because in the EA role, I kind of saw all aspects of the company, everything from contract administration to bid administration. I really had my hands in a lot of pieces of the projects. And I was just able to work my way up, quicker than usual because I got to see all those aspects. So something that I was excited about and wanted to try, and it just worked out for me. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Amazing.
So did you have like I guess that's a big transition, and learning a whole lot. Did you have someone like a superintendent or a project manager that was kind of showing you the ropes and pointing out like sequencing of construction and, just trying to explain like the natural way of doing things like that would make sense construction wise?
Yeah, I did. I had several people. I was very fortunate because I was, in my early 20s then, knew very little about construction. So I had some older superintendents who just kind of took me under their wings. I'm still in touch with them to this day. And then as well as some of the executives at the company who just took me under their wings as well and taught me. But I also did a lot of research and learning on my own. I'm a huge proponent of you just got to read everything that's put in front of you, every email that comes through. You really got to read it. And I dove into the drawings, and just after a while of seeing drawing after drawing and just reading every single note literally on those plans, you just start to pick up on it and it all starts to click and make sense. And I spent a lot of time in the field as well. And I think that's one of the greatest ways to learn this industry is just seeing it because it's actually done a lot differently in the field sometimes than it is on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So the combination of all of those really, set me up for success, I think.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts when you transitioned to residential? Was that just kind of a market condition at the time that you needed to do that? Or were you like, oh, I'll give this a shot and see what it's like?
I was kind of burned out from commercial because it's so stressful in terms of the schedules and it's so fast paced that I was like, oh, I'll try residential. That sounds fun. I've always had a love for interior design. So thought I would give that a go. But then, there are pros and cons to both residential and commercial. Residential side of things, you're dealing with the homeowners that can be very needy and very demanding. And after a while, I decided, I want to get back into commercial.
Deal with the business rather than
That's
the person.
right. Yeah. So I went back to work for the company that I was with prior to moving to Greenville.
Yeah. So what is the day? So now you're president of Forge Construction here in Greenville. What does a day in your life look like?
No such thing as a typical day, which is what I think I like about the job. I'm not a desk person. I don't like to just, go from 9 to 5 and know exactly what my day is going to be like. But, anything from pre-bid meetings to going on site to check on jobs to, meeting with the employees, every day is literally different. And I love that part of it.
Do you still handle a lot of, are there a lot of projects that you still have assigned to you, or are you really looking out for the overall company structure, company organization?
We're currently in the transition period right now. So I was overseeing all of the projects, but now that we've added some great team members, I'm in the process of transitioning that. So I'd love to, while I love the project management piece of that, I would love to be able to, hand that off entirely to my staff and then get more involved in the operations piece of it, which is where we're heading right now.
Right. That's awesome to be able to kind of move from a working to a strategic.
Yes.
And
yeah, that's very important.
Inspire and lead.
Exactly.
So being, I'm in that same transition as well. Being a business owner of a small company, how have you transition or set yourself up to make that transition? Is it hiring key personnel and just making sure you have the backlog to fill that?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Key personnel is so important. And as I'm sure you all know, it's very hard to find not only people, but good people. And I've been very patient, almost to a fault, in looking for those people, because I think it's so important to find the right people and not just fill a position for the sake of filling a position and having a body there. It's got to be somebody who fits the corporate culture, who somebody believes in your values and, sees the direction of the company the way you want them to. So we've recently added some people to our team, have moved people into the APM role, and then the plan is to move them into the PM role so I can completely be in an oversight position at that point. But the personnel are just the key to the success of the company.
Yeah.
Right. How do you what are you looking for? Like, do you have certain priorities? And when you talk about corporate culture, are there certain characteristics that you're looking for? Because obviously they need to be skilled, but then you're also looking, like you said, for someone to match that corporate culture. So what are those things about your corporate culture that you're trying to match?
Yeah. So we operate with the utmost honesty and integrity, which, general contractors don't necessarily have that reputation, unfortunately. But we're always going to do the right thing, even if it costs us money. And I'm looking for people who are going to operate that same day. We all want to sleep well at night. We're all going to do the right thing in the decisions that we have to make, even though they're difficult decisions at times. People who want to grow with the company. I'm not looking for people who are necessarily just want to come and, come in at 8:00 and leave at 5:00, get their work done and just, stay in that same role. I want people who are ambitious, who want to move up in the company. And then for me, I want to, work with those people to cultivate those opportunities for them.
When you were working, to go back a little bit, on the APM, PM side, as a woman on like a project site, did you ever feel like you had to prove something different? Or did you feel like you knew enough, right? Like you'd done all your reading, you'd looked at all the sketches, you've been on site enough. Did you ever have any like imposter syndrome out there?
Absolutely. I did. I was fortunate in that I never received any negative feedback to my face. I'm sure those things were said behind my back when I left. But I think for me that I always took the humble approach whenever I went out to a site where I knew that I didn't know what I was talking about. I just sat back and I listened. And if somebody asked me a question, I would be honest and say, I don't know the answer, but I'd be more than happy to get it for you. And that's what I teach my team as well. There's some people who feel a little bit uncomfortable in moving up in their roles. And I say, it's okay. Like, you're not expected to know everything in this role. But what you do need to do is understand when you don't know something and be honest about it and then go find the answer and get back to the person. So while it was difficult, I think just having that humble mindset put me in a good position to just kind of sit back, absorb it all. And over time, I learned it. And
my boss tells me all the time, and we talk about it, how you have to kind of lead with curiosity and have that idea of, I don't know everything. And how could I walk into a meeting with a solution if I haven't heard from that person what their problem is? So being able to, like you said, have that humble approach, sit back, is such an amazing thing to have as you go into new situations, because it does make things a little less scary, I found.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one's perfect. You're just,
right.
You're just not going to know everything. Even if you've been in the industry for 20 years, there's still going to be stuff that you don't know.
Yeah, true.
So I like that. Lead with curiosity. I like that.
So what would you say right now is the most challenging part of your job? And then what's the most rewarding?
Most challenging is managing expectations, as I'm sure you know, Chesley. People have very tight timelines that they're trying to meet, budget constraints, and just managing the combination of the two, and not setting anybody up for failure, and being honest about when you can get pricing to people, when you can turn over a project to people, what they're realistically looking at in terms of costs. Cost and schedule are the two most important things aside from quality to our clients, and just being able to not overpromise is very important to us. In terms of what's most rewarding, I would just say seeing that transformation is something that I've always loved about this, to be able to, take a shell space or an old abandoned building and completely transform it, because it not only creates a new space for the community, but it does so much beyond that, and that's very rewarding to me.
So I know we know, but let's just say for our guests, what type of construction work does Forge do?
So right now we're primarily doing interior upfits, retail, restaurant, general office space, medical, financial. We do small to medium sized ground up as well.
So what do you see like the next 5 years looking like for you?
In terms of for our company, I foresee, a lot of growth, adding more staff. We definitely want to get more into the ground up work as well. While we love the interior upfits, we've been doing that primarily because there's the opportunities that have been coming our way, because there have been a lot of vacancies in the market. People are finding it more cost effective to first buy those already existing spaces and upfitting those. But now that those properties are getting, gobbled up more quickly, while land is also not abundant, we're seeing more and more ground up opportunities. So that's what I think we'll be seeing more in the next 5 years. And we're excited about that.
Are there sectors that you feel like are more prone to ground up that might be better positioned to do that? Like are some that are doing it more so than others?
I thought that we would start seeing trends, but we're really not seeing trends. It's really just based on, what's available in the market right now and what those properties cost is really just what's driving everybody's decision.
Yeah. So as you think about the development of the business and the growth, how much are you involved in that? Do you have anyone on staff that helps you with like the marketing, and how are you getting new clients? Are you getting a lot of repeat clients, or are you out in the market still looking for new ones?
Yeah. So we're fortunate to have a great director of business development who spends 100% of his time out there doing the marketing and bringing in clients. But for us, word of mouth has been so wonderful for us. I tell all of our employees that even though you're not in a business development position, you really are, because everything that you do on a daily basis impacts that next job, whether they want to work with you or not. So we've been fortunate that we get a lot of work through word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have a mentor? I know we talked about some of the people that helped you early on, but as I think about now, you obviously branched out into Forge, which was probably was that a big jump for you, or was that a pretty like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I should do next?
No, it was a huge jump, and it's still an adjustment for me. So we were a branch office to a parent company, and we broke off from that parent company just last year and rebranded. And that's when I became president of the company. And that's a huge adjustment. It still is a huge adjustment for me. I do have mentors who have helped me through that transition. I would say, not one particular mentor who I, always go to. I think mentorship gets a lot of talk these days. And while I think it's great to have a mentor, I think it's also great to have kind of like a council of advisors, because you really need to get multiple opinions, I think, in making big decisions. And especially, when you're leading a company, the saying goes, it's lonely at the top. And I think that's so true, because you feel like you're at the top, you have some things that you want to talk to people about. You can't talk to them about other employees because it impacts the business. But you need other people who are also in a similar position to you that you can talk to and be like, hey, what are you seeing? How have you dealt with something like this in your business? And I think while it's great to have a mentor, it's also great to have that counsel that you can really rely on, bounce those ideas off of, and get multiple opinions to make the right decision.
Yeah.
How have you found those people?
Through business, really, and just friends who I've known over the years. Probably the two biggest.
And what does that look like? Are you calling them up whenever needed and hey, can you go get coffee, that kind of thing? Or is it just like a regularly scheduled thing? Like, is it more structured, or what do you think?
No, it's not structured at all. It's really like when something comes up, it's like even just shooting a text message, be like, hey, have you dealt with this before?
Mm-hmm.
How would you handle this? What are your thoughts on this? I also did recently engage whether you want to call it a success coach or, life coach. That's something that has been really great for me as well. It's somebody who I met through NAWIC, which is the National Association of Women in Construction, which is the group that I'm part of. She was a speaker there. And that's been really good for me as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. I love all the self-help. I love learning about all that kind of thing.
Agreed.
So she's been really good about, just the little things that you have to do in your life to make a big impact. And it's the constant reminders of what those little things are that really change how you operate.
Yeah, I found it's like, if nothing else, it's time to sit down and think about it. Because I think that's what I struggle with, is that I'm going and going and going. And then all of a sudden I'm like, is this the path that I wanted to be on? Did I set myself up? And a lot of times it's because maybe a year or two ago, I did sit down and think about some overall characteristics of what I wanted my life to look like in the next 5 years. And it actually is where I want to be based on some decisions that I've made. But it's that time to sit down and have someone ask the right questions so that you can think about it.
Yeah, taking that time is so important. I felt like I was, just turning into a robot. And I would get up every morning and I was doing the same thing and going through the motions, accepting calendar invites that I was like, what am I doing? I don't need to be in this meeting. You got to know when to say no, and you got to keep your eye on your goals and not get distracted from those.
Yeah.
So how, saying no to that, I mean, was that difficult, or was it like, did you look at it as like assigning an opportunity to someone else in the company?
Saying no to
stuff that you knew that it wasn't the best use of your time, so to say.
It's something I still struggle with because I like, I feel like part of me as president, I need to have a hand in a lot of the things that are going on there, and also having new staff, who are still being trained, who are still learning the ways that I need to play a role to make sure, they're doing it the way that I want the company to be operating. So yeah, I think probably for the rest of this year, there's probably still going to be a good bit of oversight there and hand holding. But I'm hoping in 2023 that I can let a lot of that go and be able to say confidently no to a lot more things and delegate more.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a huge thing with being able to grow and delegate and finding that correct balance of, I need to hold their hand at some point, then I need to let them try and fail at some point. Exactly. But I have to be able to check in enough that, that your vision is being carried out, which is, that I think is just, for me, the hardest part of growing
Absolutely.
in a company.
Me
getting
too.
higher. Because I run to extremes. I'm always like, either like, oh, I think they got it.
Yeah.
And then it turns out they did not.
Yes. And you never want people to feel like you're not there for them and that, you're just throwing them to the wolves. But at the same time, I look back in my career and I'm like, gosh, those were some of the best experiences for me. And that's how I learned the most, when I was literally just thrown out there and, told to figure it out.
Right. I think it also helps. They have to build the communication, right? You have to feel confident that if they get in trouble or if they feel like they're veering off the path, that they will come and that they know they have a place to go. I think that was always my biggest pushing point for when we'd have new staff come in or I'd have seniors taking over jobs, was to push on them and say, I can't be touching base with you every couple hours. You have to tell me when something is wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Or you don't know something. You need me to fill in the blank, like to keep you going. Like, yeah.
Which, I mean, I have been on the other side, right? As a staff or senior, and you're like, sure, 100%. Yes, I will do that. And then you're like, it's been 3 days since I moved this project forward. I have to go talk to somebody.
Yep.
Yes.
And talking with our staff, too, I think that's something that they appreciate the most, is giving those opportunities to have a little bit of independence and not feel like they're being like micromanaged. And, so, it goes both ways. I think it's good for everyone.
I agree.
So how many project managers do you have on staff?
There are 3 of us right now.
Okay. That's still like a good number, I feel like. Okay. What advice would you have for someone that's interested in commercial real estate?
Or construction.
Yeah, so much. I think just advice in general to anybody, and it's something that I'm working on to this day, is like, you have to choose courage over comfort when you're making decisions. And, that's why I'm here with you all today. Like, I'm an introvert. Sitting here with you all talking about myself is completely uncomfortable for me. But I think it's so important that you're not going to grow in your career, in life in general, if you just sit back and do what's comfortable. So go out there, accept every meeting opportunity that you can get. You'll be so surprised. I think some of the things that I've gotten out of meetings are from the meetings where I'm going into there, like dreading it. I'm like, why am I going to this meeting? Like there's nothing possible that can come out of this meeting that's like going to be beneficial to me. And those are the meetings that I often walk away from. And I'm like, wow, I am so glad that I accepted that meeting with this person I didn't even know. I thought we had nothing in common, especially being in a small market like this. Like everybody is somehow connected and knows somebody that you know. So I would say accept every meeting, be curious, choose courage over comfort, and really just go out there.
Courage over comfort is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it's really scary the first time you're trying that new stuff.
Oh,
Maybe the first 7 times you're trying new stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I still to this day, networking is just not something that's comfortable for me. Like I said, I'm an introvert. And it's just not something I like to do, but it's so, so important, not only in commercial real estate, but in any position.
I found that especially in crew. I think especially when I first started in crew, I was so grateful that they made me treasurer right away. Yeah. Because then I felt like I had a purpose, at least being in those networking situations where before I'd walk into a networking event and just be like, who do I talk to? What do I do? What do they want from me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I just go home, please?
Yes, absolutely.
But it was so helpful to, that was I think within my first 3 meetings of crew, I was on the board. And that was scary. And I was like, I shouldn't be on the board. But it was the best thing for me. And I learned so much. And it was the best growing point for me.
I find that I have I don't know the right term for it. I just don't think that things are going to happen. It's just I'm like, oh, there's.
You're a pessimist?
You just make these generalizing conclusions that are not true. For instance, if I was going to buy a rental property or something like that, oh, there's not deals out there. Well, it's have you really looked? Have you done the work to get it? And so it's once you actually have the courage to start doing the work and getting out there, then all of a sudden these opportunities start opening up and you're like, oh, well, yes, actually there are deals out there. And it's just taking that one step opens up more steps from there. And then, you keep going, it's further from there. So I think that's so true.
I think I've said it on the podcast before, but I used to tell all my staff that your comfort zone is here and you don't have to widen your comfort zone by taking something out here. You take it by pushing it out one step.
Exactly.
And you do that one courageous thing that's just one step. And then slowly your comfort zone is so much bigger than you thought it could ever be by just continually taking that one extra step. And that helped them get to where they could, be a senior on a job and run their own clients.
Definitely.
So was that you being an introvert, was that the motivation behind hiring a director of business development so that you didn't have to do that and you could let someone else?
Not necessarily. Okay. It's still something that, once I get out of the PM role is something that I'm going to be getting more into. It was more time constraints than anything. But sure, there was also that piece of me that was this is not what I want to do 100% of my time. But I think for those people who are like me, an introvert and not comfortable in those networking position, I think it's so powerful to have a buddy when you're starting out. Find a friend who also is uncomfortable, or even better, find a friend who is very comfortable and outgoing, and go to these events with them, and they'll start introducing you to people. And the more people you start to meet, you'll start to see them over and over again, and you'll start to feel more comfortable attending by yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Now it's at a point with crew meetings, I feel like it's just hanging out with friends because you've gone so much,
Exactly.
I have to challenge myself to remember to find a person that is less connected with crew and then be the person that is outgoing and introduce them. Yeah. Because now I do know all these people. So it's that oh, I remember being here. Let me drag these people up and introduce them and make them feel more comfortable, because it's such a great group of.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
So,
yeah. Were you my crew buddy originally? Or did we just get coffee when we
having
first?
A crew buddy. Yes,
or was I your crew buddy?
Yes, you were my crew buddy.
Yeah.
Yes, in the very beginning. Yes, we met at the West End. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
I know.
Is West End Coffee still around?
But we met at what was the?
That's what
it was the
Village Grind.
But when they're in a different building or in a different space. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember that. West End has grown up so much. Mm-hmm. Are you guys doing any projects in the West End?
We are not currently, no.
Right.
We're very close by. We have 4 projects kind of on the Augusta South Main.
That's right. Yeah. I knew I had seen your sign somewhere around.
Yes.
So it's always exciting. I love running around Greenville and seeing different construction companies that I know people and be
Yeah.
like, yeah, look at what they did.
I know. I love it. I'll get text messages from people. They're like, oh, I just saw your sign. So it's great.
Yeah.
I wish I could put up a sign.
We do the accounting here.
Hey, you can start it.
Social media is like a virtual sign.
True.
It's true.
Could you post like,
I don't
hey, we
know.
just did
Well, because
shelters accounting or whatever.
Yeah, back when
Yeah.
I was in audit, I think it was a little more hush hush. Like I could still talk about it, but it wasn't. But now that I'm on the cast side, probably different. I'll bring it up with my boss when I'm in DC tomorrow with her.
Yeah.
So
let's talk. Speaking of social media, let's talk about that for a second.
Mhm.
Does your business development person handle that?
He does, and he's excellent at it.
Oh my gosh.
Thank goodness.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because that's
God.
not my strength at all. I'm not on social media personally. So to do it for business is hard. Like we are strictly LinkedIn. We don't do Instagram or
Yeah.
Facebook or anything
LinkedIn
like
is a
that.
good spot though.
It is.
To post
yeah.
articles and things in the
Well, it's
industry
Mm-hmm.
is professional. I was talking to someone yesterday. They're going to Peru on like a missions trip situation. And they're going to have to like camp in the jungle for like 2 days and they'll be in a canoe. And he was like, yeah, I'm just calling it our road trip and then our boat tour. I was like, those are like the LinkedIn versions for what you're actually about to be doing, like backpacking. He's like, yeah.
What, clean and professional sounding?
Right. It just sounds like, oh, I just cleaned it up and
Yeah.
I'll put it on my resume.
Yeah. So do you know if he has like a system of posting like every couple of days?
We
and
do.
stuff like that?
Yeah, it's typically 2 posts a week that we try to do,
Right.
project related or, things that we're doing out in the community.
Yeah. I need to go talk with him.
Yeah,
Get
he's
him to
very
give me
good
some
about
tips.
it. Yes.
Speaking of, we played golf the other week. Do you play?
I try to play. I have clubs and
Okay.
I will go out there and play. Yes.
Okay. We have found
I saw you all
so
at the chamber
Yeah,
event not too long
yes.
ago. Yeah.
I got to get back out. I haven't golfed like
After
since
the
that
3
event.
weeks are up. Then.
After my 3 weeks of travel, then I'll get back.
Yeah.
Of course. But Chesley's like so far ahead of me now. Our coach is really ahead time with her. And every time he texts me, he's like, Chesley was here and you haven't been here in months. So he's good
Just trying to
at
add
no
some
pressure.
motivation.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you should come golf with us.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
It would be
Yeah,
super
That
fun.
would be
We'll set it
great.
up.
Awesome.
Cool.
So what's the best advice you've ever received?
I mean, really going back to that choosing courage over comfort, I really come back to that every single day and to
Yeah.
be curious. I mean, you have to be curious in everything that you do because that's
Yeah.
the only way that you're going to learn and that you're going to grow. And put yourself out there. They seem so simplistic, but they're so powerful in changing the trajectory of your life and your career.
And it's so true. And when I just think about tech and the way the world is changing, and you think about things like COVID is something we never could have predicted.
Mhm.
There are going to be things in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years that none of us could have sat at this table and predicted. But if you have those core tenets of like courage over comfort and staying curious, you can adapt with those changes and not feel like you're getting left behind,
Exactly.
which I think is really important. So,
Yep. All right. Rapid fire question.
yeah, we're ready for the fun stuff.
All right.
What do you like to do for fun other than travel to Maine?
Yes, I just got back from Maine. I recently picked up pickleball.
It's
which-
so fun.
So fun. Yes.
I've never played. I've heard everyone loves the pickleball.
Yes, my parents have been playing for years. They literally play every single day. And I was like, no, I resisted. I'm going to stick with tennis. I'm a tennis player. And in May, I got out there and it's so much fun. And
Yeah.
logistically, it's just so much easier than tennis because you don't need to, get your tennis buddies together and then reserve a court and go out there. You literally get a paddle and you show up at the courts and you stack your paddle and they grab the next 4 paddles and you go out with, 3 new
Mhm.
friends. And
Oh, interesting.
it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a little less barrier to entry
Yes.
than tennis, I feel like.
Definitely.
And when I play tennis, I hit myself in the face with the ball somehow.
Oh,
But
no.
pickleball, I am like functional. I'm not, there's not a lot of hand-eye coordination here.
Is it a shorter court too? Like
It
you're
is.
in that like front.
It is.
front
Shorter
two square?
court, like less aggressive ball.
Mhm.
The paddles are smaller. When I swing a tennis racket, I feel like I've got
I
like
know, I'm, like,
something
going for
6
the
feet
kill.
foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good, and you can get a paddle for like $30.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe after golf, you guys.
Yeah, let's all go play.
Yeah, pickleball.
Yes.
Okay.
I
I'm gonna
haven't-
be very novice with it.
Well, I am also.
Yeah.
I think I've played like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I just enrolled in my first league. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, the
Awesome.
city's putting on a league. So
That's exciting.
my dad is my partner. We're going to go out there.
That's
He's
awesome.
very good. So he's making me play up at a higher level. So
Oh, wow.
we will see how that
I
goes.
So-
love that.
The dad
Starts
who
tomorrow
challenges
night.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where is your favorite place to travel?
Kind of have a rule that I don't like to go back to the same place because there's so many great places to see. I say that as I just got back from Maine and I go there every summer, but I love to go to Turks and Caicos. Just the most beautiful water and beaches and quick 2-hour flight from Atlanta.
Oh, that's not bad.
I know.
Okay,
I
I
try
have
not
to
to
write
tell
that
people
down.
that because
It's going to blow up.
that's right.
She meant somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's a great place to go.
That's
Okay. I've
awesome.
never been.
All right, neither have I, but I love beaches.
Same.
Favorite book or podcast?
I like to read. I just don't have a lot of time to these days. Podcasts, I'm really into just like the business self-help right now. I always find myself going back to 9 to 5-ish with The Skim. I love The Skim. with
Really?
Carly
Okay.
and Danielle, yeah.
Awesome.
They have great guests on there who, talk about their career path, how they got where they are today. I just love it.
Really
Cool.
Yeah.
Add it to the list.
I will.
Favorite or current TV show that you are binge watching?
Also not a TV watcher. I'm always having to be doing something. I have trouble sitting still. However, COVID has gotten me down a couple times. So I had some time, kind of embarrassed to admit this, but Selling Sunset on Netflix.
It's
I
real
definitely
estate
binge
related.
watched. Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
addicting.
Yeah, I like a
Yep.
good reality TV show.
Yep.
And also you can miss a couple, like you can go do something and not feel like you missed a whole plot line.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe you missed the selling of a house.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. And this is our favorite question. What's your favorite restaurant in Greenville, South Carolina? And what do you get there?
I love Trattoria Giorgio on Main Street. I think that's kind of a hidden gem here in town. Love their salmon bow tie pasta that they no longer have on the menu, but you can still get it sometimes.
A secret menu item.
right.
We love a good secret menu. Okay. I actually haven't been there and I need
really?
to.
Yeah.
I pass it
Love
all the
it.
time, obviously, because I
Yeah.
live downtown.
Are they
but
open for lunch?
I always go there for dinner.
I don't know that they're open for
Yeah, I
lunch.
don't think they
Okay.
are.
I think they're a very
And it's a very limited, I think
Limited.
it's only maybe Wednesday through Saturday
Oh.
or Tuesday through Saturday. Yeah, I
Mhm.
shouldn't say for sure, but yeah.
Okay.
nice.
Yeah. Good to know.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciated talking to you.
Thank you. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
I'm
Thanks
glad
for
you
having
came and
me.
did this podcast and it
me
wasn't.
too. Even though it wasn't your thing.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
I chose courage over comfort today.
Yeah. And it all worked out fine.
That's right. Yes, thank you all. It was so much fun.
Thanks for coming. The Candidly Crew podcast is sponsored by Truist. Truist is proud to be the 2022 Marble sponsor for Crew Upstate and the sponsor of this podcast series. Truist teammates are driven by a common purpose to inspire and build better lives and communities. They strive every day to make things better for their clients, teammates, and stakeholders. Truist envisions a world with equal access to economic opportunities. Truist proudly supports the mission of Crew to transform the commercial real estate industry by advancing women globally. Crew Upstate's Truist contact is Michelle Dodge, SVP. She can be reached at michelle.dodge@truist.com.